We're back with Chris Eldridge, president and owner of America's Mattress. Chris, you had mentioned earlier that you had done some cold calling to get some customers to increase your business. Could you tell us a little bit about your cold calling experiences?
Good old cold calling. No one likes to do it, but for me, I honestly, I would always do the cold calling. Usually after I got up, had a good night's sleep, probably got a workout in, so I was energized.
First thing in the morning.
Yeah, I get in first thing in the morning. Never on a Monday. Don't bother anybody on a Monday. They're usually catching up from the weekend's fires or real busy that first day. But the other thing I always like to do is always stand. I never sit down. I think your voice projects a lot better when you're standing up. And really, it's almost like you're going to a sporting event or something. You gotta psych yourself up and not be discouraged because the success rate is very few and far between.
Did you wear a headset, or you actually have a phone in your hand?
In that time, I didn't have enough money for a headset. I just had my cell phone, I think.
So prior to doing that, you mentioned that you did sales in Seattle. Did you do cold calling up there when you were doing sales as well?
I did, but it was from a very established company where I'm for the most part had an established clientele, and I serviced those accounts and tried to grow them, but not too much of cold calling, a little bit.
So how about some tips if somebody's doing these calls? What kind of tips could you give in order to get past what they call the gatekeeper, or to actually get someone's interest? What was your secret sauce?
Again, if I look back at the FileMinders, not many times was I successful with just a cold call. I usually ended up, actually, if it was a law firm I wanted to do business with, I sought out, if I saw one of the partners' names associated with a charity event, I went to that event and I almost figured out how to meet people. And then usually, I called around and asked my partners or friends, does anyone know someone here, just to get a foot in the door. I think it's real tough to just pick up a phone and get past, especially if it's a large company, to really get your foot in the door. You're limiting your chances. And I think a lot of times if you fail the first time, it's tough to get back in. So I tried to plan a little bit more ahead. Instead of just picking up the phone, I would, look at every executive in the company, anybody who worked there, and email all my friends, family, business associates. Does anyone know someone at this company in Hawaii? You know what? Most of the time, someone knew somebody, just to get me in the door and a little bit, a welcomed reception versus, just shut down immediately. Because I think it's hard to, if you get shut down, then you figure out a way to get in. That person's going to feel that someone from the top kind of pushed you in. So real carefully, kind of soft sell, especially in Hawaii. But use your resources, I guess. Be resourceful.
Cold calling is a little of advertising. And the other day I was driving out to the leeward side, and I noticed that America's Mattress had someone standing on the street waving a sign saying, come in for our blowout sale. I was just wondering about that advertising. Does that type of advertising work? And
yeah, I think it really did. And it's back to kind of my roots, guerrilla marketing. When I started, there was no money in the budget. I had two vans that I bought for $500 that didn't run really. I painted them yellow and put banners on them on the corner of the out in front of our store, and we have sign waivers. And I think as I was away from the business, we went somewhat away from that. But now, if you go to Sacramento, there'll be at least every day 5 sign waivers around bringing people into our stores, and usually they'll a lot of them have a sheep costume on. Kids, that's the Serta logo is the sheep, so the kids like it, and it still makes people laugh.
Right.
So how did you guys get into the expansion period? You were at one store for such a long period of time, and then you added on 2, and then boom, you're adding on 15, 17.
It was really somewhat, but it was more. You got to always be moving. I think, especially if you have it in your, any kind of entrepreneurial spirit, you get bored fast. So it was Mattress, then the storage business. Once the storage business kind of peaked, it was time to add some mattress stores.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.